Good afternoon and welcome to part 4 of the AI and Automation Masterclass. Today we're joined by Kineo, who is a pioneer and a veteran in this space. Kineo, through his company Synergy, has been working with accountants for the last number of years. I first met Kineo about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. So Kineo has deep experience in what you and your firm want and need from bots. Kineo said something interesting when we were in the waiting room, and it was just a little phrase he threw in. It's about the focus on getting the work done. It's about the focus on getting the result. Kineo, in his session today, he's going to talk about AI versus automation. What's the difference? He's going to talk about inside the modern firm and real world use cases. Kineo is out here and he has been working with firms on this for years. So he will be able to bring to you practicalities of this is how it works, landing the plane and what you can do. He's going to give us a live automation demo. It proved it pays, case studies and ROI. Well, we need to know that we're going to get a return on investment. Sometimes there's a lot of talk about AI and it's very lofty aspirations. And again, Kineo is going to land the plane. And then how to spot and prioritize automation opportunities in your firm. So Kineo is an entrepreneur, a product strategist, and the founder of Synergy, which is an intelligent automation company. He envisioned and built HeyBot, an AI-powered robot bookkeeper, transforming how accounting firms handle bookkeeping, payroll, and admin. Kineo has 15 years experience across financial services, compliance, and automation. The thing that I like about Kineo is, he's very passionate about what he does. He is very passionate about getting results. He is very passionate about getting the best out of AI and automation. So, Kineo, I'm going to hand it over to you and I'm going to ask my first question of the session. Why should people listen to you today, Kineo, and what wisdom do you have to impart to us?
Thanks a lot, Des. While you were speaking there, I was wondering if you're still talking about me or someone else, but it's good to hear it from someone else. So welcome everyone. Thanks for having me today. Dex asked a very pertinent question. Why should anybody listen to me? The fact of the matter is, I'm not sure. I think sometimes, I mean, like most of us, sometimes you feel like an imposter, right? But the truth of the matter is that I've been in the automation space for years and years, more years than I can remember. I have, in previous lives, I've worked in enterprise. So I've worked with the likes of Deutsche Bank. Don't know if anybody knows that. St. James's Place and a few others. Worked predominantly in financial services. Been there, done that, have the t-shirt to prove it. So I've done automation and focused primarily on efficiency gain. So my entire 25 odd years within the technology space has been focused on helping teams and organizations to do more with the same or do more with less. Okay. But like I said, up to like 3 years ago, it's been more enterprise focused. But being a small business myself, I've always looked for an opportunity to be able to help businesses similar to me. And so when I saw this, we saw an opportunity to bring a product to the market that can help small businesses to scale without necessarily blowing up their headcount. I quickly got on that bandwagon, and I've always looked for ways of bringing technology that is available within enterprise, but out of the reach of small businesses, finding ways and means of bringing it to small businesses. So that's what HeyBot at Synergy is all about. That's why we're here today. Really, that's
excellent. Folks, as we go through the presentation, obviously we'll have Kineo's slides. We'll have them available after the session. We'll circulate them through the circle, through the community app. If you do have questions, please use the Q&A box. By all means, use the chat box to let us know what you're thinking, but questions specifically into the Q&A box. Kineo has 5 parts to his presentation. So his aim is that he will sort of close off any questions that are relevant each section as you go. So do ask questions as you go. This is a 75-minute session. We do have Q&A time at the end, but ask the questions as you go.
Well, thanks a lot again, Des. So I think really let's cut to the chase. I know a lot of you might be thinking this is yet another AI presentation promising to transform your practice. But I can assure you that there's a difference between whatever you've seen out there, had out there, and what we're going to be talking about today. So for me personally, I'm taking a more practical perspective. So we're not going to be talking about the future. I'm going to be talking about what you can implement next week within your practice. So every practice owner in the room, I'm assuming, is dealing with the same frustrations. You've got teams drowning in repetitive tasks. You've got clients constantly ringing up for updates, and you've got those compliance deadlines that genuinely keep you up at night. Okay. Now, the good news is that AI and automation can solve these problems now, not in 5 years, not after spending months, overhauling your entire system, getting new things in, like Des and I were talking about earlier. He was asking whether this is about getting some of the brightest and the newest thing out there. What we're looking at is to be able to make use of what you've got. So over the next 45 minutes, which is how long it's probably going to take me to go through what I've got, I'm going to show you exactly how practices like yours are using these tools to reclaim 10, 15 hours, sometimes a lot more every week. And I've been able to, in some cases, build compliance operations that can handle as much as 500 plus clients without anyone losing their sanity. All right, so I'll try as much as possible not to use any jargon. There's no theory in what I'm saying. It's just practical solutions that you can implement as soon as you get back into the office tomorrow or today. So let's set some expectations. Over the next, like I said, 40, 50 minutes, we're going to be covering 5 things that will genuinely change the way you run your practice. So first thing I want to do is to cut through the jargon. So there's a lot of talk out there about AI, and there's talk as well about automation. So what's the actual difference? How does each one impact your firm? We're going to look at that. I'm going to remove all the fluff and explain it the way I see it, and probably give some examples. Second, I'm going to focus a bit more on real world RPA, robotic process automation, which is the less sexy part of automation. So a lot of people talk about artificial intelligence, but less people know about RPA. So today I'll be showing you exactly how practices your size are already using robotic automation, and a 6-part lean scaling framework that we've designed that's helping streamline bookkeeping, payroll, and all those admin tasks. We're going to look at high impact automation that you can implement within the next 3 months. This will build the foundation for you to really be able to scale and get more clients in without worrying too much, without dropping quality standards or burning out your team. And then there'll be live demonstrations, you'll see a bot. But at the end of the day, the idea is you should have a clear framework for scaling efficiently. Okay. Right. So let's get started. I think the first thing I'd like to do is to clear the confusion between AI and RPA, automation. Half of the time people use the terms loosely. So when someone's saying AI, they mean automation, or they say automation and they mean AI. They are related, but they're not the same. Right? The simple truth, the best way to look at, and I'll start with AI because I think that's what people know a lot more of. So the way to look at AI is to think of having an analytical partner. So AI, artificial intelligence, is really about the thinking and the research. So it needs to be able to process. You give it a lot of data, it mashes that data, and then it uses the large language models or the different models that's available out there to make sense of the data and then to come back to you with a response based on his understanding of what you need it to do for you. So it could be anywhere from generate text to analyze a data set that you provided to it and now generate something on the back of that. Now, when AI reviews transactions, it's categorizing, it's spotting anomalies, and it can even predict cash flow issues for you before they hit. So it, the difference is the difference between recording what's happened and what's about to happen. So AI is really good at that. So if you give it a lot of data, it can give you data about your customers, what they've done over the last 1 year, and then on the back of that, it can predict what's likely to happen into the future. So it reduces the time you spend analyzing data on your clients, and you can now start providing more insights, right? There are tools that you can already use, and we're all familiar with some of the very basic ones. So if even if you couldn't do anything today, get familiar with ChatGPT or Claude. Really good. Take one of the team, take out the team package in ChatGPT. You can create your own custom GPT, and you can do that. And there are people out there that can help you with that. There are other bespoke tools that can do the same thing, but basically, like I said, AI is more your analytical partner. So if you are looking at cash flows, financials, and all that, AI is your man. The RP, on the other hand, is more like your workhorse. Okay, so if you're thinking of having think of it like a tireless digital assistant that's brilliant at repetitive tasks, right? It never calls in sick. It processes invoices faster than you could say VAT returns. It's just about efficiency. So what are those things that happens within the practice that follows a logical set of steps, follows logical rules that you do day in, day out, right? That requires you clicking buttons or copy pasting data from one system to another system, and that eats up a lot of time for your practice. That's where RPA comes in. So repetitive tasks that needs to be done fairly frequently, that's done the same way. That's where RPA comes in. If you need smart decisions from data, AI is the tool to use. I don't know if that helps, but sorry about that. I don't know. But I think, but bottom line is, it gets it gets a lot more powerful and practical when you get the two of them together. Yeah. When you bring AI and RPA together, then you get a powerful tool that can help your practice. So what happens is you get RPA automation to handle the routine processing, while AI delivers the insights that transform you or your practice from being a basic bookkeeping services firm to a true business advisory firm, right? So in the background, RPA is doing the grunt work, AI is doing the smart decisioning, you have full insight, and then you can provide service to your clients that goes above basic compliance, right? So for your practice, that means your team stops drowning in data entry and starts having strategic conversations with clients about their business and financial risks. And in today's markets, practices that combine speed with intelligence don't just survive, they are the ones that will dominate. So I think the question today really isn't about which one is better. Is it AI or is it automation? I think is a fusion of both of them. You need to be able to leverage both technologies to be able to serve your clients better and to get more efficiency gains within your practice, right? So really, it's about how quickly you can do that. If I was to, that's the way I look at it. And I think I'll probably pause here to see if that, because I know this is one of the main things that people want to discuss today. Is there any question around AI, RPA?
So opening up, folks, if you have any questions, put them into the Q&A box and we can pick them up there. But I think your distinction is important, because in the hubris around AI, well, automation is no longer as sexy. RPA is no longer as sexy. But I love the way you've described it, Kineo. Well, RPA is your workhorse. AI is your analyzer, is your is your creator, is your, this is your interrogator. And if you look at a lot of what we do, the characteristics of RPA, well-defined structured processes with predetermined instructions, perform tasks such as data entry, form filling, data transfer between systems. It structured data. So it's all about strict rules. Now, if you look at 90% of what we do as accountants, bookkeepers, and tax advisors, it meets that definition. Yes, there is lots of things that AI can do for us, but at the same time, not to lose sight of, imagine if all the repetitive tasks in your firm were removed. Then imagine if all the repetitive tasks in your firm were removed, and we could use AI to analyze that and identify the exceptions. Taj has a question here, Kaneo. What tools are you using to integrate the two systems? I presume, what tools are you using to integrate RPA and AI?
Oh, that's a really good question. So we have a platform that we built. So back end, we have our RPA framework, and then we have an integration to Chat, GPT, and Claude.
So you've got your bots here, and then they feed into ChatGPT and Claude.
Yeah, exactly. So because the idea is you want to be able to, if you have an API integration with those platforms, then you can send API calls to them, give them instructions on what you want, it does it, and then it feeds it back to the system, and the system can use you an output. But like I said, but the key thing is we have a platform that does that for us. Now, if you wanted to do, that's why I said, again, if you wanted to do something like that, there are tools out there that can help you do it. If you have, there's a tool called N8N for people who are a bit more technical. If you can play around with that tool, and I can give you stuff around it. Now, N8N is fantastic because you can use, if you map out your workflow. Now, you probably won't be able to do things like bank reconciliation and all the rest, but if you were to say you're doing client onboarding, and you understand the flow, how things go from, say, Gmail into another system that you have, or into Excel, and it has over 400 integrations that you can leverage to build out any workflow really that you want within your practice, especially front office workflows. For people who are less technically savvy, I'll recommend Make. Make is similar to N8, but is less onerous from a technical standpoint. And they have over 1,500 integrations that you can leverage, including to ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and all the rest. I hope that helps.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have any other questions, Des? Or should I?
No, I don't think there's any in at the moment.
Okay. But keep it coming. So, I think what I'd like to do is to address the elephant in the room. So, I mean, RPA, automation, AI, we've said it all, but it could feel expensive, it could feel very complicated and all the rest. But here's the simple truth, the way I see it. So you already have most of the tools that you need to get the most from these automation tools today, right? And I'll do a short practical exercise. A little bit of participation, if it's okay. So hands up if you're using Xero or QuickBooks or BrightPay, Dext within your practice today. So if you have, at the minimum, I'll say Xero and then possibly Dext and BrightPay. I can't see, so if you can help me, Des.
Okay, so if you just go into the chat box, folks, and let Kaneo know what you're using in a moment.
Okay. Now, while that's happening, I think for us, the beauty of automation isn't buying shiny new software. So it's not about getting something new in. For me, it's more about properly using what you already have, right? So if if you are still manually clicking OK buttons to reconcile bank transactions in Zero, or still clicking buttons to hold on, I think we had one response. Yeah. So if you're still clicking buttons to push invoices from Dext to Zero, or you're clicking buttons to update employee records, finalize
Loads of
base.
answers in the chat box, Kenil.
Sorry?
There's loads and loads of answers in the chat box.
Oh, fantastic. So let me see what we got. Yep. Dext, BrightPay, Zero. See, keep it coming, guys. Yeah. But the idea is, if you're still clicking buttons, bottom line, you haven't achieved the level of efficiency that you probably want. Okay. And there are immediate opportunities to use these tools to create a lot of efficiency gains within your practice. We're talking about quick wins here. So changes that you can implement by the end of this week that will save you hours every week without breaking the bank. So give you some, let me share some numbers. So if you could save just 2 hours every week across 50 clients on, say, Dext and BrightPay and Zero, that will be about 100 hours saved for your firm in a month. Just by spending two hours in a month, say across 50 clients. That's 100 hours. That's 2.5 full working days back in your diary, right? Now, look at how much time you spend every week, and then you can imagine what's possible. So the goal for us really is simple. Let's get computers doing what computers do best, which is the boring, repetitive tasks, right? And then while you focus on human work. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do here is share some examples of robots in different practices that are currently working in different practices and are helping. So I'll start with the 4 automation modules that will transform your practice literally overnight, right? These aren't just nice to have. These are bread and butter for any practice because they practically pay for themselves. The first one is the bank reconciliation bot. Now, this eliminates all those tedious hours matching transactions manually, right? It's like having someone that's detail-oriented, who never makes mistakes and flags anything unusual for your review. So month end just becomes bearable just by having it. Then you have the invoice publishing bot in Dext, now, which is your digital bridge between Dext and Zero. So instead of manually transferring every bill, this bot handles the entire workflow. So it goes in, it checks for invoices, and then the ones that are right, it will publish them without any manual intervention. You've got the invoice management bot as well. Now that handles invoicing cycle from generation to the end. And then you've got the VAT filing prep bot, which prepares complete VAT return package for review. Now, just by having these 4 modules alone, you'll probably be saving, like I said, 10, 15 hours every week, right? So really, I think in terms of what to do tomorrow, I'll say these are the things to start with. Using RPA, if you can use the likes of Enit as well, or any other tools out there. And then next, once you have these ones working, the next set of bots that you want to have in place will be this 4 that I have on the screen. And this isn't about replacing your current system, it's about fundamentally changing how you handle payroll, right? So instead of having the typical month-end madness, you're frantically updating employee records, keying PSR submissions, scrambling to get pay slips out, you can hand it off to a robot to do. So now imagine all that happening automatically. You've got the employee record sync bot, whose day job is really to scan emails, and if there's been an update from clients, it takes that and it goes into BrightPay or MoneySoft, any of the payroll tools that you use, and makes the updates. That's assuming the system doesn't do it automatically. Then you've got the RTS submission bot that helps finalize pay slips and then makes the submission, and then you've got the payroll distribution bot. But again, whose day job is to make sure that payroll is distributed on a monthly basis by a cutoff date, irrespective of what happens. And then you've got the payroll journal bot that, again, his entire existence is to deliver the reports, the payroll summary report to clients on a regular basis without fail, right? Now, this, like I said, this isn't about replacing expertise. It's about utilizing existing technology to get the work, get more done, shall we say. And then now we're moving beyond just back office efficiency into something that's a bit more powerful, transforming how you engage with clients and run your practice. So here you've got the client summary bot, which can eliminate those constant how are we doing calls. So it delivers weekly or monthly financial summaries automatically, things like key metrics, cash position, upcoming obligations, helping your clients to stay informed, feel looked after, and stop calling you for updates. So freeing up your team's time, answering basic queries. Then you've got the pension bot that can handle pension updates. So whether it's Nest or whatever flavor you've got, so whatever provider you use. But at the end of the day, there's no more missed deadlines. There's no more penalties to worry about. You got no more unhappy clients. Everything gets done. You get complete auto enrollment happening without human intervention, as and when it should. And then obviously you want to make sure that things are not slipping. So you've got the recurring task scheduler bot that helps to prevent things slipping through the cracks especially during busy periods. So not only does it remind, it can assign tasks based on availability and expertise. And there are tools out there that can do it. Things like Monday has some of these built into it. And then document chase bot, again, something that can handle client paperwork requests diplomatically. So instead of you sending increasingly desperate emails, you have a bot or an automation that can handle it seamlessly and automatically on your behalf. Okay. Now, the transformation in itself is profound. So by having these individual agents or bots working within the practice, you can shift from being a reactive firefighter to more of a proactive advisor, pretty much. So your clients will receive better service, your team focuses on higher value work, and nothing important gets missed. Your practice literally will elevate overnight just by having these tools working within the practice. Okay. Now, what I would like to do now is to show us a few demonstrations of how this works. But before I go into that, I don't know if there's any specific questions, Des.
Question in here from Amandeep. Can bots be used in FYI docs? FYI is rising in popularity, Kineo, definitely in our network and in our groups.
Yes, it can be. So I haven't dealt with that scenario, but the basic premise is if you, for any task and for any application that you've got, if you can think of it this way. If you can do a 5-minute Loom video of how a task is performed in any application whatsoever, right? That is at the level of detail that a 15-year-old can follow it and perform the same task flawlessly, it can be automated.
So basically, if you can put it into a Loom video, it can be automated.
In simple terms, yes.
A question here from Eric. Does Kineo build these bots to work around your systems?
Yes, we do. So what we've done is we apply the 80-20 rule. So we have a lot of pre-built bots, but on a daily basis, we are constantly upscaling the bots, so to speak. So yes, we can train it to work the way you work within your practice. And a lot of times you can leverage our experience as well to make sure that the process has been standardized and streamlined before we now automate it.
Another question in here from Damien. I like the way Kineo is talking about practical tasks that occur in my practice. This sounds like he has his own practice. Is that the case? And does he offer consultancy services?
Okay. No, I don't have my own practice. So, no, we are purely focused on the technology. So I haven't got my own consultancy, accounting practice. But I do consulting as well. So if you needed help, if you need any help with things to do with process improvement, process definition and all that, we can probably help you with that.
Another question in here from Enda. Can all bots mentioned 1 to 4 be used in Bright as well as they can be in Zero?
Yes. So all the bots, so again, it doesn't matter what the application is. We do have a number of clients who use Bright Books, which I assume is what you're referring to. So I have a few clients who use Bright Books and we support that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've answered all the questions we have to date.
Okay. Right. So what I would like to do now is to show us how it works in action. So I'm about to show you a robot assistant that's designed for any accounting firm that's really looking to grow. That's the way I look at it, is if you're looking to grow and one of the challenges you faced is how to grow without, making your practice less profitable, shall we say, without adding more and more people in as the team grows. So we're going to be looking at 3 core platforms. So I'm using Zero, Dex, and BrightPay as the core. But like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter what it is that you use. So you could be, instead of Zero, you could be on BrightBooks, or you could be on QuickBooks. Again, it doesn't matter. And instead of Dex, you could be using HubDoc, or you could be using Auto Entry. Again, it doesn't matter. But the idea is you've got a system for bookkeeping, you have another system for OCR, document processing, which in this case is Dext, and then you have a third system for payroll, assuming, then that's all you really typically would need, apart from maybe things like tax systems. But the idea is the robot assistants can work seamlessly across these platforms, and it can handle all your routine tasks, right? So right now, let me show us 3 examples, like I said. So again, the first thing you probably want to do is to do the pre-bookkeeping work, right? Which is probably one of the greatest time sucks in a lot of practices. So you have to review Dex transactions and then publish it to either Zero or BrightBooks or QuickBooks, right? Now, so what you're seeing here is a robot actually doing the work. So I don't know if you caught it, but it logged in. It has its own credentials. It's been set up like you would any human employee. It has its own login details to Dext in this case. So it logs in. It has clients that have been assigned to it. It has a client list. So having logged in, it checks its client list for the ones that is been set to work on in this case. So it selects it, and then suddenly it starts working. So it goes in there, it reviews the transactions, and then is looking for those transactions that are ready. So if the transaction is ready, it will now see whether the document type is correct. So in this case, you can see here that the document type says statement as an example. Because document type is statement, it will ignore it and move on to the next transaction. Transactions that are to be reviewed means that there's still documents that we're waiting on. So again, it's going to ignore this one and move on to the next one, right? Now, if you think about your practice, this is typically where your team will spend a lot of their time, right? They have to review transactions, and then, but with having this robot in, or having this digital colleague in, it can go in systematically, review all the transactions that are in ready status, make sure that they are correct, and then publish the transaction to Zero. Now, before it does that, each transaction gets checked, make sure everything is correct before it gets published. Now, what it's doing at the moment is what would typically take your bookkeeper maybe 2 to 3 hours of focused work. every week, but it's happening with zero human intervention. So you can do this overnight, and then by the time your team comes in the morning, all that's left are things that actually require human judgment, right? So which is a real time saving. Now, as you get better in managing your clients to send information across, or as you get better at setting up supplier rules, you find that the bot gets to do a whole lot more and you have less and less to do. So there'll be some time spent understanding clients, understanding how they work, the kind of transactions that they have, the kind of suppliers that they use, and setting up the right rules. But once you've done that piece of work, that process improvement, shall we say, once, the bot takes over the grunt work after that. So everything now starts running in the background, and your team has more time to spend on the things that matter to you, including growing your practice. Right? Now, having done the work in Dex, the next thing the bot does.
This is all the bot that's running here, Kaneo. You're not touching
everything you're seeing. Everything you're seeing on the screen is being done by the robot. It's not me. It's not a human. So again, it doesn't matter whether it's one transaction, 100 transactions, 10,000 transactions, it can keep going until it's done everything that it has to do. So again, it goes into zero, picks up a client, reviews transactions, and then is looking for those ones that are either bank ruled or the ones that have suggested matches from zero, right? He will review the transaction and he will be looking for a set of rules. So if he has an apply rule, he knows that this is a bank rule transaction. It means that the practice is comfortable with it clicking OK, the OK button. If he doesn't have an apply rule, it's not a bank rule transaction, he will check to see whether it's green. If it's green match, which means it's a suggested match, the bot knows to review the name in the bank, compare the name in the bank with the name in zero. That's where the intelligence comes in. It will check the name in the bank. So does it have Des O'Neill in the bank, and is there Des O'Neill in zero? If it doesn't match exactly, then it will ignore that transaction because it knows it's most likely not correct. Okay. And then he'll keep doing the same thing over and over again till he goes through everything that he can. Again, the concept here is the bot goes through all the straightforward ones that follow, that appear logical. Whatever is left after he's done his work will be things that actually require someone to either analyze it a bit deeper, contact client for information, and all the rest. Okay. So at the end of the day, zero errors. The team arrives in the morning, all the tedious work done, and they can focus on transactions that need their human judgment, like I said. So that's 2 tasks done. Again, zero human intervention. It removes it from people's tables. Okay. And then when it comes to payroll, fairly similar. Someone prior to having something like this in place, someone will have to import employee records. Yeah, which means you're either copying, you're reading emails, you're downloading stuff, you're uploading stuff. Then once you've done that, you have to finalize pay slips. And then once you finish finalizing pay slips, you have to do this PSR submissions. And then after that, you have to, so they're all click-through process. There's click button, copy, paste, right? But with the bot now doing the work, literally nothing. So 100% automated, the bot can run the process end to end, including downloading reports, storing it somewhere for future reference, forwarding it on or sending it on to a client or to members of the team to review, as the case may be. And I'll pause because again, like I said, I think this is the meat really. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about how the bot is doing anything that he's doing, or any concerns about what he's doing at the moment.
Well, there's lots of questions here, Kaneo, but I was going to basically let this part of the session end and let the demo piece end before we got stuck into the questions. But everything we're seeing here now, again, this has all been done automatically. You can put in, I presume you can put in verification checks and verification breaks if you wish.
Yeah, so we call it human in the loop. So you can have a human in the loop, say the bot does something, and then it pauses for someone to review, and then once the person has reviewed and confirmed, they can continue. And I
so
think
it's going in, each email is triggering, it's taking the data from the email submitted by the client, it's opening up the payroll, it's inputting the data, it's then processing payroll. You could put a human in the loop at final verification, but it's creating file names.
it's doing all the things. Yeah, exactly. So it's typically what happens is you take all the usual steps that you would follow, and then all we're doing is training this 15-year-old digital intern to do the work.
So, question from Bia: can we use Apron instead of Dext? Yes, Bia. This is software agnostic.
It's software agnostic.
So, Kineo, a question that I have come across, and I mentioned this before, that some firms feel that bots work better with Xero or bots work better with QuickBooks than they do. Maybe, for example, I often hear Irish accountants saying BrightBooks and stuff like that. Is that your experience, or what do you say to people when they say, well, all these different packages, does it work better with some rather than others?
So it depends. It depends on the practice, to be fair. The one thing I will say is do not get rid of something that you're very familiar with, without understanding fully what you want the new tool to do for you. I've spent enough time in the industry to find people are looking for something, especially when they think someone else is using it and it seems to be working better. There could be a logical reason to move applications, but if you've been using an application for a while, better understand why you want to move before you move. So there might be particular things you need it to be doing, or it might be that it's expensive and you're looking for a lower cost solution. But if it's from an automation standpoint, using this tool that we have, it doesn't matter what the application is. Because rather than, so if you're thinking, put it this way, so I want to move from BrightBooks to Xero because Xero has a slickier interface and it's easier for me to click that button and find what I'm looking for and That's good if a human is going to be doing it, but if you're going to be automating it, it doesn't matter. Make sure you've pushed BrightBooks to the limit first. And then get to a point where there's maybe some insight that you want that is not providing, or there are some things that clients are complaining because clients have to do something and they're unable to do it, or they are finding it difficult to, so you want to make their lives a bit easier. And then you move.
I just want to go back to a comment from Enda there. Des, I thought I'd made not the best decision to opt for Surf, i.e. BrightBooks, instead of QuickBooks or Xero. Hardly anyone using QuickBooks in the chat box, most using BrightBooks. Maybe I wasn't wrong. I suppose, Enda, if you look at the respondents to that question, they were probably mostly Irish firms that responded to that in terms of BrightBooks. Before being taken over by BrightBooks, you got to remember, Relate had a totally uncontested market. They had about 75% of the market share. So there's a lot of firms continuing to use BrightBooks or Surf accounts or whatever they're called now. Michael McCormick, how does it work with Sage 50, Sage Accounts Production? Well, I think that's the very same as the answer to Bia. It works, Michael. You just, whatever the task is, it executes the task. It's software agnostic. Now, here's a good question from Michaela. And I have encountered this multiple times before, Kineo, and I'm really going to listen carefully to your answer this time. Because when people ask Michaela's question, sometimes I can't really explain myself properly. So Michaela's thing is, particularly in Dext, if it ignores anything challenging, Dext auto-publishing and supplier rules would achieve the same thing without any extra costs. What value is it adding beyond this?
Fantastic. That's a really good question. So my standard response is this. Dext is really, really good. If you can spend time understanding how to set up rules within Dext, you don't need a bot to do anything in Dext. That's the honest response. Because at the end of the day, you can set up supplier rules, okay? And then Dex knows that it shouldn't publish anything that is a statement, as an example. So Dex has that capability, right? And then Dex can auto-publish. The one thing that Dex struggles with that the bot that can help with is things like, so I don't know if you encounter scenarios where Dex doesn't quite recognize the VAT on that transaction. So it gives you an extracted amount. Okay. Now, a lot of practices that we work with don't want that extracted amount going into zero. So they want the exact VAT amount to go into zero. Dex doesn't have the capability to make that differentiation. So, but the bot is capable of doing that because the bot can do a validation check to confirm whether whether the document based on the tax amount, whether that VAT should be, say, 23% or 13.5 or 9 or 0 as the case may be. So I think that's the main thing that I find, main capability that the bot has that you can't find in Dex. But apart from that, if you can configure Dex well, you can probably achieve 80-90% publishing through Dex.
And folks, obviously, I'm not anti any software. I'm particularly pro softwares and solutions that make accountants' lives easier. I have listened to a torrent of complaints about Dex. Dex has lots of capabilities, but I've listened to so many complaints and listened to them on an ongoing basis with the price of Dex. The one thing that I see in your question, Michaela, is, well, okay, well, Dex can do 85-90% of this. But what if we had lesser apps, but we could use automations to get a better result on a more cost-effective basis? So it's not just efficiency and the capability. My understanding from talking to accountants is that Dex could have raised their prices up to 8-fold in the last 2 to 3 years.
I think okay. So. Sorry, just one more thing on that. I think it's important to equally point out that so you have to look at AI and RPA not as software. I think that differentiation is very important. Don't look at them as software. Look at them as digital workers. So,
well, you see, that's a really interesting point, Kineo, because we have one accountant who exploded recently because they're just getting these bills from Dex and there's no explanation. The bills are just getting bigger every month. You can't get any answers. So what they actually did was they created their own in-house RPA that took the bank feeds or took the bank statements, turned them into something that could be uploaded, and basically bypassed Dex altogether using well, sure, it was straight bots, really, was what they were using. Yeah. It wasn't even AI. So this actually creates whole new ways of working. Yeah. Now, look, some people are happy to let Xero do what they do and Dex do what they do and QuickBooks do what they do and wait for the stuff to come. But at the same time, it's about finding, is there an easier and quicker way? Kenneth Dunn has a question. Should this be run on PC? Will using a PC at the same time interfere with the process? So can I have a bot running away on my computer, Kineo, in the background, and I'm just tapping away doing my other stuff when the bot is over here on screen number 3 or screen number 4?
Yes and no, but you can, as long as you're not using as long as it doesn't need the same resources. So, but my recommendation typically is to have a separate PC for the bot. One, because that way you're not interrupting anything that it's doing. So generally speaking, the bots, especially RPA bots, they will use the same resources. They use mouse clicks and keystrokes. So if you're having to do something and you're having to do it in Chrome, then you probably have challenges. So recommendation from us is typically you have your own PC. And the way we work is we give the bot his own PC. Like again,
the bot its own PC.
Because it's an employee.
Does that need to be a super powered PC or just a standard off the shelf, same PC as
standard off the shelf? So typically because we have we have an integration with Microsoft. In any case, we use the equivalent of Windows 365 standard.
Taj has a question. Can this bot check P6 notices from the HMRC's website and populate the tax code into a payroll software?
Just the way you've described it, sounds like it can.
So, Taj, it comes down to, if you can do a Loom to explain it to a team member, you can explain it to the bot and you create the rules. Okay, so Darren, with the bot reading the emails and pulling through the hours, does it have to be sent in the exact same way? I.e., some might send in 40 hours, another might send in 5 days. I presume you need to create the prescribed format for the data to be consumed by the bot.
Yes. And if you think about it, think about it. So even if I was looking to optimize my business, first rule of optimizing any business is standardize, streamline before you even start thinking of automating. So yes, so I would say first thing you want to do is to have one way of working for all your clients. You have a template that they need to fill. You have a form that they need to fill and return back to you by a particular time. And then, because the bot needs something structured to work with in any case.
You could though, Kineo, right? I'm getting a little bit creative now, right? So on Darren's question, you could have the emails coming in and you could have them being lifted into, say, an Excel file or a Google Sheet.
Mhm.
And then you could have an AI that goes into an AI agent that goes into standard them, a custom GPT that goes into standardize them, and then put them into payroll. So, of course, your answer is the correct one, but you could actually find a workaround of standardizing if, because I understand Darren's problem. You tell some clients this is how you do it, and they just refuse. They just refuse to use the forms. They just refuse to do what they're supposed to do. But is my alternative solution of integrating a bot with an AI to sort and filter and analyze, could that work?
That could work, but you still have to have a human in the loop.
To
So
verify.
to verify, yeah. So you need to quality assure it before you hand it over to the bot. So AI can do the extraction. You can get the information, you can put it in a particular format that you want. But remember, this is unstructured data. So AI will, in some cases, it might hallucinate, other cases it might. So it will probably get it right again, 70, 80% of the time. But what we want is 100%. So somebody has to review it and then hand it over to the bot. But yes, AI can take the data, put it in a structured format, and then someone can review it, confirm before passing it on to the bot.
Taj is on fire today. He's in with another question. How does this tool work with software like VT and MoneySoft Payroll?
It does. So it's simple. So it's same process. So today it's doing, again, it's making submissions to revenue and customs. It is emailing pay slips, emailing payroll summaries, similar.
Okay, question in from Kenneth. How secure is the AnyDesk access that you're using? So we're gone slightly off piste here. AnyDesk security, Kineo, fully secure?
AnyDesk is secure. AnyDesk I haven't got a problem with. I think as with all things, is how you manage data. So for us, we make sure that all the passwords are encrypted. We use a password manager. And just to say, we no longer use AnyDesk, so we don't support physical PCs. We advocate for cloud PCs just because it makes it easier to manage security and security wise and all that. So, but the premise is the same. So you have to maintain passwords, password encryption, password management, and then everything depends on within the team.
Idel, for payroll info that the bot is pulling from client emails does need to come in a certain form. That's the same question as Darren, the answer to that. So here's a question for you, Kineo. So the bot can work with Dext and Brightbooks just as good as Zero. Now, we have had some Irish firms who have found the bot experience on Brightbooks not to be as good as their counterparts sitting beside them who are using Zero. What's your take on that?
Preference, Zero is a better tool, right? I think Zero is a better tool. But saying that said, I think a lot of times it depends on how well the process is defined. So if you spend time understanding what could break and then you implement incrementally, then you have less of an issue. I mean, hands up, we've had clients on Brightbooks, and again, similar, even when we're starting out with Zero, it's hard to implement because the thing about not having SOPs written down is that people have different ways. And when you ask someone, so if I ask if I ask you now to explain how you do something, because you've done it for years and years, you intuitively know what to do, right? and you intuitively know the exceptions, but you haven't written it down. So you will tell me how you do it, but you probably will skip some of the exceptions that will trip things up a little bit. Not intentionally, but just because, right? So I think that's why when we do our implementation is we ask for that flow. Let's understand how you do the work. We ask for test clients so that we can train the bot. We will explain that you need to engage with the process. It has to be collaborative. You need to see what's happening. Expect that there will be breakages because you don't know it as much as you think you do. And then, but the quicker we can identify it, the quicker you can get it sorted. So I think it's less about the tool bribe books. I think it's more about how the practice works.
Yeah, so it's not about the tool, it's about how we go about doing our work and the standardization. So the standard operating procedures underneath that are everything. And okay, so Martin, is Dex better than auto entry now? Well, Martin, I'm sure if you talk to Dex, they'd say they're better than auto entry, and auto entry would say they're better than Dex. But do look at, if you're tired of paying significant fee increases, do take a look at Apron. Apron are a nice new challenger to that field at the moment.
Are they in Ireland now? Sorry, Des.
Apron have moved to Ireland. I met them at Accountex in May. They're working with Irish clients, but they have some issues to sort out still. Okay. In terms of bank fees and bits and pieces. But my understanding is Apron with a bot, you know, because like I think what's Apron is it capped at £200 a month for unlimited clients or something. So Apron with a bot can definitely overcome any of the Irish challenges it has yet. But it's definitely up and running and flying in the UK. Question from Enda: Can the bot now help with invoices with multiple analysis and multiple VAT rates? That was an issue, as far as he was understood, that was a problem that with the bot and with Surf, that it couldn't handle that.
I need to understand the scenario a bit more.
So this would be an invoice with multiple VAT rates rather than a single VAT rate.
Okay. So again, it depends on, so what the bot cannot do is to read the document in the system. So if the multiple VAT rate is a document that is stored in Dext or Apron or auto entry, the bot won't be able to see the values. So it depends on how those tools pull out the multiple invoice scenario. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I know that HubDoc has this generate line item where you can get all the various the multiple VAT values, but the bot can't reconcile that with the document. So it still can. So if the question is, can the bot read and then extrapolate what the VAT values are from the document, it still can't today.
Okay. Greg, is AnyDesk the software that runs the bot? No, AnyDesk was that was a virtual desktop, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a virtual, yes. So there's a virtual desktop, there's AnyDesk.
Rory, bot have its own PC, bot have a virtual PC.
Own PC, so I think it's more, can the bot have a physical PC versus a cloud PC?
Yeah.
Again, it can have either. Our preference is always cloud. The reason why this is because we found over time that managing the physical PC is a problem. So sometimes people have it on laptops and then someone switches off the button and then it goes dark and nobody knows about it for a while, and then it takes a while for people to get around to it, or something. But if it's in the cloud, we know that's 24/7 availability. So there's no switching on and off.
John has an overall comment here. Tried Apron, but it's not as good, and some fundamental issues on VAT rates and allocation, same as auto entry. Kieran, in relation to the bot doing work in a web page, Dext, for example, is it just for demonstration purposes it uses a page like a human without viewing pop-ups and clicking with the cursor? Would it not be quicker by looking at the page source and utilizing bookmarklets? is there anything you would consider relevant in this design choice? Now, that question is actually above my pay grade, Kineo, so I hope you understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the two types of integrations or interfaces that you can have. You can have the API integration, or you can have a UI integration. So I think the question is more why are we using a user interface rather than API integration? API is faster, correct? But the problem with API is the work that goes into the integration itself a lot of times, and then what features the platform support. So not all platforms supports some of the work that the bot needs to do through an API, through API calls. So, but with UI, you can do virtually anything a human can do on the platform. So that's why we generally will go with UI, and then where there's an API integration, we'll still do that. So in the case that you've seen, we've gone UI because it's easier, it's faster for us than having to do that API integration, because some of the things that we need to get done is not supported yet by Dext through an API integration.
Eric has a question. Can the bots get viruses?
Sorry?
Can a bot get a virus?
Can the bot get a virus? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think so. A bot cannot get a virus. So the platform can get a virus, right? So, but the platform that we use is Sec2. So it's highly secured. The chances of it getting hacked, very slight. And then the same goes for other applications. So remember, it's using Zero and Dext. If those ones get hacked, then there's a problem. But generally speaking, the standard platforms that are SOC 2, ISO 27001 certified have less of those kind of issues. But technically, it is possible. Any system can get hacked.
Paul, all the way from Roscommon, can the bot be given some tax knowledge or rules to follow as to what can and can't be claimed for VAT, etc., and apply that knowledge to the task? That's probably more of an integration of AI and an RPA, or can that be done in the RPA, Kineo?
That can be done in RPA if it's something that's known. So anything, so the way to look at it is if there's anything that you know already and then you can capture the rules, yes, the bot can be trained to follow those rules.
So you don't need AI, you just train the bot on your rules.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Paul's getting fancy. Paul's been studying up on his AI. Does your bot use MCP, or is it always screenshots and keystrokes? Is there an advantage or disadvantage to this?
So MCP is context protocol. So it's again bleeding edge, but it's still fairly new. We don't use MCP at the moment, no. It's keystrokes and mouse clicks. We follow a set of rules, primarily because for accounting and for the work that is done within accounting is rules based. So what declarer we are, you have a finite set of rules for accounting, bookkeeping, payroll. So it's easy to train the bot to do the things that you need it to do. MCP is more future paced. So sometime in the future it will come in, and that's more on the AI side.
Off topic, is there any bots for audits and audit services? How have you deployed bots in audits to date?
We haven't actually. We haven't done. So again, audits is more towards the AI space, I must say. There might be tasks that are repetitive, some like knowing when it needs to happen, sending out reminders and all that. But the audit itself, you're looking at reviewing data and coming.
Yeah, Damien, I was in London on Tuesday, Wednesday last week, and I was on another AI webinar on Friday. And I think one of the big things that struck me was about the whole use of AI and automation in audit. And I've actually created a framework of what that would look like. And we're talking to some providers to see if we can go and build this thing. So it's like an AI audit agent. So Tony, can a bot download order information from an order processing system to feed into unleashed inventory, finalize job, which in turn feed into Zero? I'm told a series of steps done each month by member of accounts team including cutting and pasting. So that's literally, yeah, that's what it does.
That's bread and butter.
That's bread and butter. So, and remember, as we go through this AI and automation masterclass, obviously this is focused on you guys. Okay, this is focused on accountants, tax advisors, and bookkeepers. But I had a conversation with somebody early this morning, and yes, they could see the application in their own firms, but straight away they could see some of the snippets that we're covering off in the last couple of weeks and how they could put that into their clients and just transform how their clients operate. And Taj has a question: can a bot accidentally click a phishing link?
Sorry, phishing link?
Could a bot accidentally click on a phishing link?
No. No.
Okay.
So a bot will only click. So a bot sees what it clicks on. It will only click on the things that it's been trained to click. AI might click on the phishing link just because it's using its own judgment, but a bot will not do that just because it's been trained to do one specific thing in a specific way.
Okay, so the deluge of questions is over, Kaneo. So into the last section of your presentation.
Wow, thank you. So, thank you for all the questions. I think for me, and I think it ties back to what we're going to be looking at next, is how do we get the most from all this QuickTime? So I think now that we've seen what's possible, what I'm going to try and answer is how to get started, right? If you've seen, I've watched practices, who've done, and I can hear from the conversations, who've been excited about how to do all these things, but they're not sure which one's the best. So the secret is starting with the quick wins. What are the easy, low-hanging fruits that we can put in place today? Okay. And that's where this comes in. So I think the first thing to look at is things like auto-publishing to whether it's Zero or BrightBooks or whatever your accounting system is. And it doesn't matter whether you're looking at Dext or Apron or auto entry. But the idea is to be able to automate that so they can reduce hour spent per client. You want to get the bank rules driven reconciliation and the suggested match reconciliation automated as well. And then you want to look at payroll, whether it's payroll journal, export into the accounting, bookkeeping system, and then the entire payroll process itself, emailing pay slips, making the PSR submissions or RTI submissions, and all the rest. So if you can automate these 5 tasks, that will probably deliver the most value quick time for your practice. Okay. And then so next up, I'd like to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to use one of our clients as a real case study. So the Number Crunchers is a UK-based compliance only zero practice. They're based in Cirencester in the UK. They don't do advisory services. They're now looking to start picking up more and more of that trade, but they are fully focused around compliance, and they've gone from less than 80 clients to nearly 500 clients, right? And that's without proportionally increasing their headcount. So virtually 6x with minimal additional headcount. And for them, and what I find more interesting is that they followed our lean scaling framework, which I'm going to share later, but more importantly, they only use 2 tools within their practice. They use Zero and they use Dext, right? That's it. So no expensive or extensive software stack. Okay, might have bits and pieces there, but really the core of what these services I provide is Zero QuickBooks, right? And they've maintained quality all through. They've created a predictable, scalable operation. So for them, give you an example, last month, they're generally speaking always number 1. So the last month, their bot did over 26,000 transactions across Dext and Zero. So the bot will go in every day, you'll go into, or every other day, will go into Dext. You'll publish as many transactions as they can, and then Next day, he goes into zero and reconciles as many transactions as he can. They have a team led by Noah, who looks after he's the AI ops manager. His job really is to look at the efficiency gain. So they've been with us for almost 18 months. And in that time, they've gone from less than 23% automation to now closer to 70-80% automation. So 70-80% of compliance work within those two tools that I mentioned is being done by their AI practice assistant. Right? So at the moment, they're hitting, on average, they have a ratio of about 150 to 100 clients per team member. That's their ratio. And they're looking to now scale a lot more just because they have that foundation in place. So for them, they've seen this not just as growth for growth's sake, but they're looking to grow efficiently. And there is almost like a template of how this can be done. Okay. And the typical play, how do you get this done? Like I was saying, keep it that simple in terms of services. You just have the bread and butter. For them, again, they had bread and butter, bookkeeping, VAT, payroll, year-end accounts, CT returns, director self-assessment. And they were able to go from 80, and there's nothing stopping anybody in this room from being able to achieve the same thing. About 80 clients, 2 to 3 team members doing everything, but growing 8.5% month over month, right? And the target is to get 500 plus clients. And the only way you can do that is by making sure that you have standardized processes, you've got technology handling the routine work, and you have team focused on the work that actually requires human brains to do. Okay. How do you do that? This is what the number crunchers team used. So for them, it was a simple roadmap to do. So the LSF, as we call it, the Lean Scaling Framework, has 4 pillars that helps to make this possible. So the 4 component parts are lean operations using smart automation, having robot assistants handling 80% of admin tasks, and then having productized services with Netflix style tiers. So something clean, repeatable, and that can be profitable. And then have a SaaS type metrics system so that you know what's actually working and what's not working that needs improved, that can be improved. Right. And that's how you can achieve the ratio of 1 person to 150 to 200 clients. Okay.
It is interesting, Kineo, one of your first clients, one of your first clients that you set up in Ireland, when I look at that firm and the scaling potential, when the restriction of people and resources was taken off the table, it created the capacity to grow and scale. Most firms now are struggling to get the work done. But it's your case study here. It's the similar case. They can scale because it's not, well, okay, I add 50 clients, I've got to add 3 in my team. It's they're scaling where they're optimizing technology, and they can get a much better result for them and their clients with less people.
Absolutely. You can 3x your client base using the same team, in theory. And then to do it, really, I think this is the playbook that Gaynor and Howard followed, and which, if I think is Ifa, you're probably referring to this. Yeah, but again, similar playbook is standardized services, deploy AI automation, and then more importantly, have a pod team structure. I think that's the key thing. I'm technology, I understand technology, I want technology, but over time, the more I've worked with firms, I know that there's a whole business transformation that has to happen, right? So you still need to standardize the services, like I said. If you can explain the process to someone in 10 minutes, if I can understand it, we can automate it, right? So it's not ready for automation till we can understand it. And then once that's done, deploy AI and automation. So eliminate all the mind-numbing tasks that's eating up your team's time. So everything from data entry, reconciliation, standard reports, standardize, and deploy, hand them over to AI and automation to do. And then once you're done, then have that team structure. Like I said, this is where a lot of practices get it wrong. But you need to reconfigure your people, get them to start, instead of managing, doing the work, they need to start supervising automation. They need to start thinking of how to get the most from these tools. How can we leverage AI? How can we leverage automation to make our jobs easier? So we have a running commentary within our own firm, which is you need to be able to sack yourself from your current position and promote yourself to the next by making sure that you have automation doing what you're doing today. So in 12 months' time, you need to elevate, have automation doing at least a part of what you do today. Then productize and tier pricing. So once you have 1, 2, 3 done, it's easy for you to now standardize on your pricing, right? And then you stop selling time, you're selling outcomes to your clients. And then what will obviously help you is real-time data. So if you have a real-time dashboard that tells you where things are at any point in time. And then finally, the last thing that you want to have is to have an automated acquisition and onboarding system, because everything is now in place. You can now put fuel to your marketing and sales to get more and more clients in without confident that things won't fall over as you scale. So hopefully that helps. But if you're able to do all that, because I know we're talking to accountants and bookkeepers in the room, then these are some of the numbers that you can expect. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I think this is just to give a sense of what's possible. You should be able to scale your practice to 500 plus using the same headcount, which means really the top line is less of the conversation. I think the conversation is more around the delivery cost, which is where the efficiency comes in. You should be able to do more with the same resources, which means that your delivery cost goes down to 30% of revenue. And then you could be looking at 70% gross margin, 35% in terms of net profit to the business, right? But the key message, again, like I keep saying, is that it just gives you confidence to be able to grow, to get bigger, to increase your turnover, increase your profits, increase your client base, and have the freedom to choose who you want to work with without worrying too much about team burnout or high turnover of your team. You're getting the right people in to help you deliver on the client advisory side of the business. Yeah. And know how are we doing for time? But I think we're almost there.
We're a little bit over, and there's a few more questions. But look, I think 95% of the people who are on the session are still on the session. So keep it going, Kaneo, and we finish it out.
Okay, fine. So, but I think, to be fair, I think we're nearly there. I think I was going to just summarize what we've looked at today. So hopefully by now you now understand what the real difference is from a real world standpoint, the real difference between AI and RPA, and more importantly, which one solves which problems for you, because they all have a part to play. The better thing to do is to have both working within your firm. I've equally shown live demonstrations of the automation side. On the RPA side, there's a lot of resources out there showing Gen AI and how it works and how to use those kind of tools. So I haven't spent any time there, but automation really is the foundation that you need to put in place. So, and I've equally shared a roadmap that could help, and I'll share that with Des and team. Anybody can use that. You don't need to work with us. Obviously, if you want to work with us, that'll be brilliant, but you have the roadmap that will help you to achieve it. And I've equally shared the 5 high impact automations that every practice should have in place within the next 3 months, if it was up to me, because that's really the foundation to help you to scale if you're looking to scale, right? But I do recognize that it's been a lot. And if you have any other questions, or if you have anything that you're thinking, either, I think the floor is now open. We can go back to some questions. I think I was enjoying that a lot more than talking.
So Eric has a question here, straight to the point. What's the pricing structure for this? Obviously, Kaneo, we'll share your contact details But right now, Thomas, can you just throw Kineo's website, Synergy, Kineo's email into the chat box? I presume if people contact you directly, Kineo, you can talk through them, what they're looking at, what their needs are, and you can help them. Amandeep has a question here. Can we use the bot to convert PDF data into Excel and make sure the data in converted Excel is matched with PDF, the columns, the rows, the figures, etc., are correct?
In theory, yes. So you need to have a PDF converter. And then, so if you have a PDF converter, yes, you can do that. If you want the bot to be copied and pasted, then we need to, again, understand the structure and then train the bot on what data you need from that. But yes, it is possible.
Okay. Here's a question. So in the last session, we spoke about AI agents. So we had Anil from Orbital, and he was talking about 2025 being the year of the AI agent. Now, Kineo, obviously, I bring in people with very different views and very different opinions here, because it's about giving people context, understanding, and knowledge. Are the AI agents we spoke about last week the same as the bots we're talking about today? Which really goes back to our very first slide.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. They're not exactly the same. No, well, they're not the same. So AI agents are they're the equivalent of the bots in the AI world. So they will use, most of the time, the AI agents are based off of ChatGPT, Claude, and all the rest. And you'll find flavors like the SDR marketer, or they'll leverage conversational AI, they'll leverage voice AI, and they'll leverage Gen AI to deliver work. What we're looking at today is robot assistants, which is slightly different. So these ones will do again, some of the grunt work, but you're using a different technology. This technology is robotic automation, which is different from AI, as you can imagine. But the concept is the same, is to be able to hand over low-level tasks to AI and automation to do the work. So they are related, but they're not the same, I think is the short answer. So there are two different things. I would say you need both. So AI agents come to the fore when if you're looking at anything that is text, voice, and video oriented, then AI agents will be the ones doing a lot of the work, because what they will do is typically, once I understand what needs to happen, I'll create a workflow, and then I'll have to create a text and then convert that text to voice, train it on a set of data so that it can respond to queries from someone. Our robots don't respond to queries. Our robots are there to just do the work. So again, I would say you need the two. You need AI agents, and then you need the robots as well. So the AI agents will probably be your front office guys, and then these robots will be more of your back office guys.
Okay. Question. Can a bot put in ERR expenses on payrolls? This is specific in Irish payroll question. And would one manage a net to gross pay? Then the second part of the question, how would it deal with a payroll where there are people who have the same first name?
But not the same surname.
Well, I presume that could be the same name, full stop.
Oh, okay. So you need to, again, how would you handle it in real life? You probably will have a unique identifier, something that tells you that Kanai Ruchalo for company A is different from Kanai Ruchalo for company B. There might be an ID, or even if Kanai Ruchalo in the same company, I'll probably have a different employee ID from someone else. So, but there'll be a unique identifier. Usually it's either an email address or some employee ID. But once you understand how, I think the most important thing is that once you understand how, then the bot can be trained to work on that premise. Okay. So I think that was question number 2. What was question number 1 again, Des?
Oh, hold on a note. So can a bot put in ERR expenses on a payroll, and would a bot manage a net to gross pay?
Again, I'll say yes. My answer will probably be yes most of the time. The only caveat is it something that you can create a 3 to 5 Loom video explaining in detail how to do it? If the answer is yes, then yes, the bot can do it.
So a Loom video and an Excel spreadsheet, for example, if you're doing a net to gross pay, well, you put in the net and here's the calculation and here's why. So if you can do a Loom video explaining on an Excel spreadsheet, which we can for payroll, Elva, that would work. Okay, folks, we're 10 minutes over, so I'm going to call it a day here. Just thank you to Kineo. Obviously, based on the questions in the comments, a brilliant session, Kineo. So thank you very much. We will have the recording up. We'll have Kineo's notes up in Circle in the members area. And we look forward to seeing you back here next week for the next lesson in the AI and Automation Masterclass. Kineo, Thomas has put Kineo's details up in the chat box. When we send out the slides in Kineo's material, we'll send them out by email and put them up in Circle. That will also have Kineo's contact details as well.
Fantastic. One last thing to say, Des. Thank you very much for having me. And then again, I know that this is a lot for a lot of people. So anybody that's interested, looking to exploit a bit more, we're offering a 60-day free trial to all your members there. So just
excellent.
Say that as well.
Okay, well, Thomas, there's some people have gone off the call and some people will be looking at the recording. So Thomas, when you're sending out the email to everybody, can you make sure and put in that Kineo slide and the 60-day free trial in the footer of the email so everybody can get their hands on it nice and easy. All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. See you, Kineo.
Thanks, see you later. Cheers.